Okay, so as we begin, if you could please turn off your cell phones or put them on mute. A couple notes before we get started. We have sold out the game again. The game initially sold out 2 days after going on the public sale. We were able to add an additional 112 seats, and those have all sold out as well. So the total number as of now is 20,250. 20250 will be the attendance for tomorrow night. Also, Jermaine Jones has successfully completed the return-to-play protocol following the minor concussion he suffered against Jamaica, and he is cleared and available to play tomorrow night against Honduras. We have the head coach of the U.S. men's national team, Jurgen Klinsmann, and team captain, Clint Dempsey. Jurgen, your thoughts on tomorrow night's important match against Honduras?
I think we're really looking forward to that match. It's a big one, and I mentioned it a couple of days ago already. It's a 6-pointer. It's huge. I think the team did very well in the previous 2 games, and you need now to add those 3 points. It's a must-win, and it's a game that has to allow you then afterwards to look at the final 4 games in a better way, and that's what I addressed to the team that players like Clint and other European players going on their well-deserved vacation, you want to go to do that on a high note. The next World Cup qualifier will be in September, so you set the tone with that match, and therefore we are highly motivated. It still sits a bit in my stomach, what happened there in February, where we were not able to adjust to the climate and the circumstances, simple as that, in too short of a time. And now we have the opportunity to clean that thing, and therefore, I think the energy is good, atmosphere is good. We're looking forward to it.
Leander.
Jurgen, you've rebuilt your defense pretty much from scratch recently. Can you talk about how Tim Howard has been involved in that process and what his role is?
Tim's role is huge. I mentioned it before. We have a very high quality spine of this team. With Timmy in goal, with Jermaine as a 6, with Michael as an 8, and with Clint, further up front. This is our spine, and around this, we build a team with more and more strength. If it's the wings, with Fabian Johnson or DeMarcus Beasley, who goes through his 3rd kind of spring, or others on the other side of Graham Susie and Josie is really alive up front. So you build the pieces around it. But Tim's influence on that back line is tremendously important. His experience, his way of calmly talking to them, guiding them, doing a lot of shifting, dropping when there's the time to drop, pushing it up when there's the moment to push up. To keep those dots connected, that is Tim's work. And therefore, we always talked about it, many times. You want to build out of the back whenever is the opportunity. That starts with him. We showed the team last night some images from the Panama game where we exactly did what we always talked about. His throw to the sides, his involvement right away. He caught the ball, boom, he opened up the game. And therefore, we are very happy to have Tim as our number 1. He's one of the top 5, I always said that, in the world.
Doug.
How much has Omar improved since throwing him into the fire against Honduras last time? And how important has it been to show confidence in him to work with him through the learning process of adjusting to the international level over the last 5 weeks?
Well, it's that process is only going one step at a time, and we told that players like Matt Beasley and Omar that by growing there will be some pain coming along, and there will be a bad game here and there will be a mistake, but important is that we coaches see the potential in certain players and see where they can be one day. So we're going to help them to develop and hopefully reach their maximum potential. And I think and Omar and Matt and players like them, there's so much that improvement still there, so much they still have to learn, and they know they have to learn still a lot. But it's also for us, an exciting learning curve to be with. This is what coaches want to do. That we want to develop, high quality top players, and Matt and Omar have that talent to become real high-end center backs.
Gentlemen in the back, if you could please stop talking to the press conference. If you need to, you can step outside. Thank you. Ivis.
For Jurgen, you just talk about Michael, his kind of continued development. Obviously, he was a solid player before Italy, but how have you seen his game change since he's gone to Italy, and specifically now this past year in Roma and Clint? When you think about the World Cup between you, Josie, and Michael, all stars on that team, but how much you think you three have kind of grown from then to now with the moves you guys have made in these 3 years?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to be playing at the highest level possible and doing well. And all these players that you talked about, Josie and Michael, have done well in Europe. And it's about, keeping that going, keep pushing yourself and trying to make the most of your time over there. But, yeah, I mean, it's great having them in the team, having their experience after already being in a World Cup and know what it's like, know about the pressure and going through that qualifying process. It's just more people that can, relate that to the younger guys that haven't had that. So, we have a strong group of, guys on this team, with a lot of experience, and they're doing a good job of passing that down to all the players. And as you see, we're playing with a lot of confidence right now, and we're playing really good soccer. When we're losing the ball, we're fighting hard to win it right back real quick, and making good decisions in attack and third and scoring goals. So it's about keeping that going, and like what Jurgen's talked about, that consistency, and that's what you get with the experience, being able to do that week in and week out. And that's what you have to do in Europe if you want to, be starting every week. You have to show up and you have to perform. So it's great having guys like, Josie and Michael Bradley on this team.
Steve. Oh, sorry, Jurgen. Sorry, Ivis. Go ahead.
Well, no, it is tremendously important that, players like Michael and Clint and kind of coming through, growing. Josie, I said it often, he's 23 years old, give him time to grow, give him time, to become that consistent player that we all want all players to be, one day. But it's important that they go out there with the right attitude and spirit every day, for every training session, for every day that we spend in a hotel, because it is simple as that. Younger players that are further down in the hierarchy of a soccer team, look always at those leaders. They always look at Clint, and I told him that many times. They always look at Timmy Howard. They look at Michael Bradley, Jermaine Jones. So these guys, they recognize that, they understand it. If they make the right decisions, the younger ones coming through the ranks now will make the right decision. So that leadership is extremely important for a team. I was blessed in my career to have in big clubs, big players guiding me, leading me. I could lean on them. And here and there maybe a moment where Josie still need to lean on Clint with his experience, and that's good. That is helpful. That's how you grow. And that's also important when there's a bad moment, and bad moments are coming along always. It's not only going to be sunshine every day. Younger players understand. Okay, how do I figure it out now? I'm in a down. Maybe I'm not scoring, or I'm just not doing well. That they can go to Clint and say, hey, how do I manage this now? And Michael Bradley, I'm kind of lost right now. How do I do that? And therefore, their leadership is really important.
Steve.
Jurgen, you do some players outside of their normal roles, and I'm wondering, how much did you do that in Germany? And also, can you just talk about your philosophy as far as using players within the group, even if it's beyond their normal comfort zone, versus maybe bringing somebody in, that plays that position specifically?
It's always a topic discussed differently between different coaches. Every coach sees qualities and strengths in players differently. I see maybe Brad Evans a little bit different than Sigi does, and we talk about that. We discuss it. Even if Sigi says yes, absolutely can play a right back, even if he doesn't play that role in Seattle. Clint can play different roles as well. And at the end of the day, a coach is always working on a bigger picture, on a puzzle, how to fit all the elements together. How do they supplement each other? How do they help each other? What's their specific role? Fabian Johnson can play very effectively left back or a left winger. He can also play actually in the middle. So we need to figure out, okay, what is best now for this group? Well, how does it match the best, and how do we get the best out of them tomorrow night as an entire unit? And when you do that, then I think the important part is that you tell a player, listen, I understand that in your club maybe you play differently, and you kind of leave that comfort zone of your club team in that moment, but this is what is needed right now here. And then when we're on the training field and we play those different role games, then you got to help him. You got to give him confidence, and you got to give him the okay to do mistakes, because it's not the role that he's used to play. But all coaches, are always looking for some solutions further down the road. How can he actually develop in that specific role? And I think now with Brad Evans playing that role very, very strongly, he made a very strong case for himself going towards the World Cup in Brazil.
Sam.
Clint, you're going to lose to the start. Guys obviously play a long European season, and you're right at the ball playing. It's a very short window of rest. How much looking forward to the short time that you get off? What do you do to get away from soccer after?
I mean, right now, I'm not looking that far ahead, just trying to focus on last game and end on a good note so that you can have a good vacation. But in saying that, what I would do on vacation, I just do what I did as a kid, just go fishing with my dad and family and, cook out a little bit and just rest, completely just shut everything down and relax. But you won't have a good vacation if you don't get the points, tomorrow night, and that's what we want to make sure that we do. We put ourselves in the driver's seat and make sure that, we qualify for the World Cup.
Kevin.
Famously, you try a number of different lineups, and that was because of fitness and injuries and all kinds of stuff. But you hit on a really great lineup in Seattle, and now you're going to have to change it again with Graham and Jermaine coming back. Can you just talk about the process of finding the best 11?
Well, it's something that we just have to live with it and work with it because of yellow cards, because of maybe injuries. We will be always forced into making changes if we want or not. Would we like to kind of play through with a very strong first 11 choice all the time? Yeah, you will build more consistency. You can better fine-tune certain areas. But for us as a team, it's always about adjustment. And I think it's important that the team, the players understand, no matter who's playing now, what his role is. I think we get now to a point where everybody coming into the camp understands how we want to play, what are the responsibilities on the field, and whatever position I play at. Fabian Johns understands if I play left back, this is exactly the responsibility I have. If I play left wing, it's a different one. And that is kind of the learning process we're all going through. We constantly try to show them on the field. If you are on the field, if tomorrow Brad Davis plays, he knows exactly what to do. There's no problem at all. Or whoever plays in a certain position, and this is then the important part, that they all know how we want to play.
Jeff.
Jurgen, Honduras has got a few guys suspended. They got guys nursing injuries. Obviously, they're not going to have the full first choice lineup. To what extent does that influence your preparation and your approach for tomorrow?
We have a lot of respect for Honduras, because that is just the way it has to be. You respect your opponent. We have had that experience in February, and we expect them to be very physical. There will be a lot of battles on the field, all over the place. But we want to play our rhythm. We want to play our game. We want to, be dominant, hopefully, on the field and take care of things. The sooner the better. But we know it's going to be a hell of a lot of work. It's going to be a tough opponent. We're talking to the team about their strengths, weaknesses in detail. But at the end of the day, I think, if we approach it with the right attitude, the right commitment, and aggressiveness, then I'm very positive.
Kelly.
For the next 2 months, what is your schedule like and your priorities in preparation for September?
Well, we don't have big choices, Kelly. We obviously, in the background, and the players don't see that, obviously, because we are fully focused on World Cup qualifying right now. But we had to do a lot of homework on the Gold Cup, a lot of communication with players, coaches, and so forth, building another roster there. We want to take that also very seriously. And then, we already scheduled then a friendly in August. and boom, then in September, and there comes the next two big games. So it's a busy summer for all of us, you know, and you know, the better the guys do, you know, the more positive, you know, the environment is, and the feedback is, the easier you go through a stretch like that. You know, I reminded the team yesterday morning real quick on the field that I don't want to have that feeling in my stomach anymore, like going out of Guatemala into a summer break like last summer with a 1-1, a game that, you know, Clinton scored the goal, we pretty much had it in our pockets, and then we gave away a cheap free kick, you know, which was perfectly executed. But you just don't want that, you know. You want to continue now to make this group grow and become more and more consistent in all the work on off the field, and what we talked about a year ago, become more 24/7 in their mindsets, and that's what we're doing. But right now it's all about tomorrow night.
Clint, could you just talk a little bit about what the vibe was like in the locker room after the last game, what the guys were saying, and just what it was like with that crowd in Seattle? What the guys talking about the crowd at all?
Yeah, the vibe is good. We're confident. We're playing well, but it's about keeping our feet on the ground and, you know, having that consistency moving forward, that we can keep getting results and keep, you know, putting the game on our terms and grinding our opponents down. But as far as the atmosphere was great. It was great to be in Seattle. It almost felt like you were in Europe when you're walking on the streets, and there was a Sounders game that happened to be on, and all the TVs are on when you're walking past restaurants and bars and stuff like that, because on one of the nights we had dinner on our own. So it was a great venue to play in, a great market, and it was a good thing that, you know, that the Federation scheduled a game there, so that some of the players that don't get to experience that got the chance to experience that, because it shows the game is definitely growing in the States, and you know, everybody had a great time, you know, playing in a stadium where there was a pro-American crowd.
We'll do two more. Matt.
It seems like you have three lineup choices tomorrow at left back, at central midfield, and at right midfield. Have you already decided who's going to take those roles, or is it something you're willing to share with the group?
I decided it already, but I'm not sharing it. Sorry.
This one's for Clint. This marks the halfway point of the Hex. How do you feel that the team has met your expectations thus far, and what do you look to improve on in the next half of the Hex?
So far, things are good. We're where we want to be in the table, but we still have to, you know, like I said, they keep saying it over and over, just that consistency in these next games, and making sure that we put ourselves in a position to qualify, and we're not waiting, you know, for the last two games, you know, hoping that, you know, other teams will do us a favor, that we're taking care of business. But the team is growing, it's getting better and better, and we're really starting to develop something, and I feel like, you know, that this team has the quality to qualify for the World Cup and to do well in the World Cup. And, you know, it's just a work in progress, but there are definitely good signs there, and I'm excited for, you know, things to come in the future.
Thank you, Jurgen. Thank you, Clint.
Thank you.
We'll see you all tomorrow night.
Have a good one. Stay in the shade.